Okay, drive shaft's out. His part of the fun of having a Ford Ranger with a Chevy motor is that it also has a Chevy drive shaft, and I didn't realize that. So that's why there is a clip here, but no clip there, because this universal joint is out of a Chevrolet. Now it's time to get the universal joint out. Alright, this is going to be the fun part. I have to push the universal joint out so I can remove the cap. This is the replacement to show you. It has to be able to go down, and I'll use this to support it as I'm banging on it, and the U-joint will slip into that. To pound on this, I'm going to use a socket and a pair of vice grips, and this is what I'll use to tap it out. We'll see if this works or not. It's working. See that? Bingo. We removed this part from the drive shaft, and now I got to get the universal joint out of this housing. And we'll do it the same exact way. Place it here so the U-joint has a place to go. Smash it out with an old socket. She's coming. And one of the things you want to be careful of is, you noticed how it flares out here. That flared part you don't want to get jammed inside the round part here, because you go down too far and it'll start to warp this piece here. You go too far and you'll destroy this housing, which you want to not destroy. That's the trick of doing this the way I'm showing you versus with a proper tool such as a bearing press, which will gently remove it. But I'm not buying that tool just for one use. Okay, we've smashed it down enough so that the cap is protruding out the bottom. Kind of grab it, twist it out, there we go. Ooh, wow, look at the inside of that. All the bearings are gone. Whew. Holy moly. Here's the replacement. Look at the inside. It's greasy. There's bearings, the pin bearings. That's what it's supposed to look like, so that it can move really nice and swivel. This one still had bearings on this side, but that is no bueno. Anyways, now that that's out, we can remove the U-joint, and we'll get started on putting this one back in. Okay, check this out. Can you see inside there? It's all cruddy. I'm going to clean that out first. That's where the little snap ring is. There's lots of junk inside there. Look at all that. So I'm going to make sure those two raceways are all clean. Here, use a little sandpaper. Clean that out. Make it all pretty and clean before I put the new one in, because our tolerances are going to be kind of tight. So always make sure these are clean before you go and proceed. It's easy enough to do, silly not to do. Okay, I've cleaned inside there really well. Let's see if you can get a good look at that. It's amazing how much junk you find in there when you start scraping and cleaning. But when you start putting it all back together, I mean, this thing doesn't have to be beautiful, but one misplaced piece of dirt in that little channel there, and you won't be able to get your snap rings in place, and it's just a very good idea, I think, to work clean. Also here, I cleaned out the inside of there as well. There's the old one. No bearings at all on this side. On this side the bearings were pretty bad. Here's the new one. Taking the caps off the ends, making sure that all the pin bearings are all lined up and they're not going to bind. And the thing is, you want to put this end in there and that end there. Slide your cap in there. Good. Slide this cap on there. You'll notice that it moves in there freely. Now we're going to put this on the vise and smush these together. You see what I did here is I used the old caps off of the last U-joint to push these together. This way the cap would be able to insert inside the housing and push it in enough so that I had room for the clip that goes in there. Easy peasy. Okay, so now we got this C-clip in place. We need to push this side in. And I'll use, again, the old cap. Oopsie. Make sure they're lined up pretty good, and now we should be able to press on the other cap. Nice and easy. Constantly wiggle the U-joint so you know that you're not binding anything, that the bearings are all working good. I'll back it off a little bit, take it out. And see, I need to push it in some more so that I've got room for the C-clip that'll hold it in place. So I'll just squish it a little bit more. You kind of feel it bottom out a little bit. Being gentle. Now we should have clearance for the next C-clip. Well, this part here is going to be a little more complicated, I'm sure, only because it'll be difficult to get the entire drive shaft in place around the vise in order to squeeze these in place. But the concept is the same. You put one side in and then the other. Squeeze the caps on, making sure that you don't pinch any of those bearings as you're doing so. We'll get this in the vise, and then there are two little clips on the inside, and we'll be done. Okay, I couldn't quite figure how to get the drive shaft on top of the vise. My shed's just a little too small for that, so I'm going to use a C-clamp here instead. Before I start tightening it down, I want to make sure that this is still sliding inside and out of those bearings. And I want to give it a little twist here. I'm going to test it as I go. One neat trick, if you need a little extra leverage, is just use the open side of a wrench. That'll give you the additional leverage you need. Alright, you may notice that right in here there is a groove. On this side you can't see the groove quite yet because it hasn't been pressed in far enough. However, on this side it's ready for the clamp, the little spring clamp here, clip rather, a clip, and that just gets pressed on there. We're going to need a pair of pliers or something to grip it between where my forefinger is and my thumb on top of the spring clip, and it should just snap on there. Now we're going to press this side in and we'll put the other clip in. Well, that's it. All the clips are in. My new universal joint put together to replace the old nasty one. And the other thing I wanted to show you is on the front there are these little nylon tubes that run through, and that's what prevents this cap from coming out under centrifugal force when it's spinning. There are no clips like this or like this holding these caps in, because that's original GM equipment there, and that's just a nylon thing that's been melted in. So to remove these, I would have to heat this up with a torch, and those nylon things would come out, and then I'd be able to replace this U-joint. And maybe I'll do a YouTube video of that someday, but not today. Well, hope you learned something. Catch you later.